We make decisions with feelings. 95% of our decisions are made by how you feel in the moment. And that is the problem. You need to take control of the moment and leverage the power of your decisions and make them up here. Do you feel like making that cold call? No, you don't. Do you feel like doing that third set of reps? No, you don't. Do you feel like having that hard conversation? No, you don't. Do you feel like ending this relationship, whether it's in business or in your life, that is sucking you dry? No, you don't. We make decisions based on our feelings, and that is robbing you of joy and opportunity. And it is blinding you from the fact that how you change your life is one 5-second decision at a time, one push at a time. And if you accept the fact that you may never feel ready, and you may never feel motivated, and you may never feel confident, you may never feel courageous, and that's okay, but you can still push yourself forward. What happens over time is, as you start to see yourself becoming the person that takes action, you start to see yourself becoming the kind of person that speaks even though your voice is shaking. You're the kind of person that has a bias toward moving instead of a bias toward thinking. Guess what happens? You build the skill of confidence and courage. There's a 5-second window between the instincts, the shoulds, the urges, the inner wisdom, the things that can change your life if you listen to it. You've got a 5-second window from the moment you feel that instinct to move. And if you don't, your brain is actually designed to kill it.
Writing a book or making a movie or editing videos or starting a company, these are really hard things to do, right? It's incredibly difficult. It's often very discouraging. There's not a lot of validation until very much at the end of the process, right? And so what happens is that talking about these things is always easier and always much more validating than doing them if you sort of have the wrong attitude. So what you see is people spending all their time on social media talking about what they're doing instead of struggling to do it, right? And there's a big problem with that. There's the Henry Ford quote where he's saying, you can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. And so people are spending their time, you're sort of missing the point, right? You're talking about writing a novel instead of struggling to write that novel. And so you have to understand that ultimately the best thing you can do for your brand and for yourself is to just make really great stuff.
The truth is that you're never going to feel ready to make these changes. You're never going to feel like doing them, but you can always make a decision. That's always in your control. Staying with somebody that treats you like garbage is a decision. It is. Staying at a job that you hate is a decision. Staying in the body that you are not proud of is a decision. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not going to be easy to change. It's simple. Do a Google search and then use the 5-second rule to force yourself to do that stuff. Change comes down to 5-second decisions, and this is why the 5-second rule is important for everybody to know. It's your job to push yourself. And I don't care if you're Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., or you're Michelangelo, or you're Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote Hamilton, you will struggle with self-doubt. And everybody that you admire, everybody, and the list is the same for everybody. Oh, Oprah Winfrey, and I want to be like, Tom, and I want to be like, Branson, and I want to be like Jay-Z, and I want everybody's list is Bill Gates. And do you know what those people do? They do not have the habit of hesitating.
This is the great killer of dreams. The idea that making a mistake is a mistake. Think about this for a minute. Can you really think of one invention? Don't tell me, just try to think of it. Think of one invention that's been made without a series of potentially catastrophic mistakes, mishaps, or misfires leading to that idea being thrust out into the world. Mistakes are the necessary requirement in order to improve oneself, in order to improve one's business, in order to improve your thoughts. You have to be mistaken in order to eventually be corrected. A lot of us see these mistakes as bruises to our ego, like I made this mistake, so it means this about me, or like I did this wrong, so I'm not going to do this other thing right. We take a lot of ownership for these mistakes, and then at the same time, when we end up doing well, sometimes we don't attribute that to ourselves. We say, oh, well, that was lucky, or oh, this other person helped me. we have a hard time attributing where our success comes from and why we fail. But what you need to understand is that your mistakes aren't you. Your mistakes are singular events that in the end don't really mean anything. But what they can do for you is they can teach you. Mistakes can teach you what you're doing wrong, obviously, but mistakes can also teach you what you're doing right. And when you tune in to the mistakes that you're making, you can chart a path that avoids them and also moves towards the things that you want. But you have to be open to learning from them first. And once you are, it's going to be much easier to navigate the world in a way that makes sense to you and also gets you the results that you want. Successful people know that mistakes are essential to moving forward, and sometimes they even seek out mistakes, right? This is a contrarian way of thinking. They seek out mistakes in order to get success faster because they know that every mistake they make now is one mistake they won't make later.
And so you can truly trace every single problem or complaint in your life to silence and hesitation. Those are decisions. And what I do and what's changed my life is waking up and realizing that motivation's garbage. I'm never going to feel like doing the things that are tough or difficult or uncertain or scary or new. So I need to stop waiting until I feel like it. And number two, I am one decision away from a totally different marriage, a totally different life, a totally different job, a totally different income, a totally different relationship with my kids. Your life comes down to your decisions, and if you change your decisions, you will change everything.